Somewhere in Ohio, in the summer of 1977, a machine wrote down something it heard from deep space. And 3 days later, a man circled it in red pen and wrote one word next to it. Wow. That's it. That's the only name it's ever had, because whatever sent it, nobody has ever heard from it again. This is the Big Ear, a radio telescope the size of a football field, built into a field in Delaware, Ohio. Its whole job was to sit still and listen to the sky, scanning slowly as the Earth rotated beneath it, night after night, for any sign that something out there was talking. On the night of August 15, 1977, it was pointed toward a patch of sky near the constellation Sagittarius. Nobody was even watching in real time. The telescope just recorded, printing raw data onto reams of paper, the way it did every single night. 3 days later, an astronomer named Jerry Ehman sat down to review the printout. Most of it was noise, background static, the ordinary hum of the universe. Then he saw a sequence of characters that didn't belong. The telescope measured signal strength using letters and numbers, low to high. Almost everything on the page hovered in single digits. This one climbed. 6, 14, 26, 30, and then for a moment, it hit a value so high, the scale didn't even have a symbol for it. Then it dropped back to nothing. The whole thing lasted 72 seconds, which wasn't a fluke of the signal. That's just how long the telescope's view stayed fixed on that part of the sky before the Earth's rotation carried it away. Ehman circled it without thinking, grabbed a red pen, and wrote the only word that seems to fit. Here's what most people miss about this story. It wasn't just that the signal was strong. It was where it landed on the radio dial. It showed up almost exactly at 1,420 megahertz, the natural frequency given off by hydrogen, the most common element in the universe. Scientists had long theorized that if any civilization wanted to send a signal across the stars, this exact frequency is the one they'd choose. It's sometimes called the water hole, a quiet patch of the spectrum, free of natural interference, that any sufficiently advanced species scanning the sky would think to check first. The WOW signal didn't just appear in the right place. It appeared in the one place scientists had already predicted a message might come from. Naturally, they looked again. Ehman himself pointed instruments back at that same patch of sky, hoping to catch it twice. Nothing. Other astronomers tried in the years after, in 1987, in the mid-1990s, and again with more sensitive equipment in the 2000s. Nothing, every time. Whatever it was, it happened exactly once, for exactly 72 seconds, and then it never happened again. Not that night, not in the 50 years since. So scientists started ruling things out, one at a time. Could it have been a military transmission, or interference from an aircraft, or a satellite passing overhead? Radio astronomers checked. In 1977, there was almost nothing in orbit at that frequency, and ground-based interference doesn't behave the way this signal did. It doesn't fade in and out following the exact curve of a telescope's beam sweeping past a fixed point in deep space. That fade pattern is actually one of the strongest pieces of evidence that whatever caused it came from far outside our atmosphere. Not from a truck, not from a plane, not from us. In 2016, a researcher proposed a new explanation: comets. Specifically, 2 comets that, decades later, happened to be passing through roughly that part of the sky. Comets can release hydrogen gas as they warm near the sun, and hydrogen gas emits radiation at, you guessed it, 1,420 megahertz. For a while, this felt like the answer. Case closed, mystery solved, headlines everywhere. Then other astronomers actually pointed telescopes at those same comets and measured them directly. The signal they produced was nowhere near strong enough to explain what Big Ear recorded in 1977. The comet explanation didn't hold up. The theory that finally seemed to close the case fell apart under its own evidence. So here's where things actually sit, decades later. It wasn't military, it wasn't a satellite, it almost certainly wasn't a comet. It came from the direction of deep space, on the one frequency scientists had already guessed an alien signal might use, and it lasted exactly as long as a telescope's viewing window allowed. No more, no less. Every earthly explanation has failed the direct test. Every natural explanation has failed the direct test. That doesn't mean it was extraterrestrial. Scientists are careful to say that absence of a mundane explanation isn't proof of an exotic one. But it does mean something rarer than aliens in a way. It means an actual gap, a real place in our knowledge where the honest answer is, we don't know, and we may never know, because it only happened once. There's a version of this story where the ending is aliens, and there's a version where the ending is a boring instrument glitch we just haven't identified yet. Neither one has ever been proven. And that's the part that should actually sit with you. We built a machine specifically to listen for something we couldn't explain, and for 72 seconds, on one ordinary night in Ohio, it heard exactly that. Then it stopped. And in 50 years of trying, humanity has never managed to hear it again. Somewhere out there, if the signal ever comes back, we might finally get an answer. Until then, all we have is a piece of paper, a red circle, and one word in the margin that says more about how we felt than what we actually found. Wow.